Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Got all ready to go and put the extra layer of shade netting on, and then we decided it was too late. I really hadn't realised how soon the sun hits this side. Now, okay, it's, what is it, 9:30 in the morning or just after, but I've got to take all of this aluminium shade netting off, and it's one big piece, before I can put the green stuff on and then think about putting the aluminium stuff, stripy stuff, back on top. And I've deemed it too late to do now, because this layer's got to come off. There will be an amount of time where my plants would be in full sun through glass, and it might not be for long, but as we all know, projects can go wrong, and if something goes wrong while the shade netting's off, it's not going to be funny. So I've deemed it too late to do today. So what I thought was going to get done today now isn't. I'll have to wait till tomorrow. I brought my list out from yesterday that I was going to do in the live broadcast, because the video that replaced it was a little bit curt, shall we say, because I was still annoyed while I was filming it. I still am, actually. But the issue has been resolved. There was nothing wrong here. What was wrong has apparently been on the news in the States. Basically, all the bandwidths have been chopped right back in the EU to try and give everybody a look in, because the servers are all overloaded because everybody's stuck at home. And in addition to people being stuck at home, therefore downloading and streaming films, doing all those sort of high usage things, you got loads of people working from home as well. So if you add that lot up, that comes to quite a heavy usage on a system that probably hasn't got much room for expansion. It's geared up to the maximum load it's ever had, and it's never been anything like it is at the moment, ever. So obviously these are uncertain times, and I'm not sure it'll get corrected because of the cost element. You start chucking banks and banks of new servers into a system and getting them configured in and balanced and everything. It's rather a lot of money and technical expertise and all that sort of stuff. So that might not even happen. We just might have to put up with a more limited service. The thing that I was having trouble with, which now even that problem's resolved now, I've got 4 separate email addresses, and one of them is linked to this channel because that's how it has to work. It's also linked to the Facebook group, and notifications travel across. I've had a hell of a lot of trouble loading that email address. It just will not load. It just keeps coming up with an error. And yet the other 3 are fine because they're not linked to anything. They're just standalone. So I think what's happening is when I try and load this, the email address that goes with this, it's trying to do all the links, to go and find out, is there any news from Facebook? Is there anything from the YouTube channel? And those 2 systems are overloaded as well as Gmail. So I think it's just been failing on that ground. I shut everything down this morning, did a complete restart with all the cache cleared out and everything like that, and managed to get my email box to load for the first time in about 3 days. There wasn't much in there, but that's not the point. Right, other things left over from yesterday. Somebody asked, when I did the new moss tray, which I must admit is looking a bit sad now because I've taken an awful lot off the top. It will regrow, providing I keep putting water in it, of course, which it does need doing today. So that one's okay. The other 2 that I did a while back, one of them's in here, which is a little bit back from the brightest light, but that's doing okay, whereas this one, quite close to the window, is doing very well. That's growing on nicely and extending. That one, so that's Hurricane Hector straight up my leg. This one here is mainly sphagnum moss, but it has got some ordinary moss up in that top corner and a little bit down here too. So that's a bit of a mixture. That's looking good. Is that how I did it? Yes, it is. Distant memory now. Hang on, let me shut Hurricane Hector off. Yes, that's not, my settings aren't balanced yet. I still think that this little gadget here gives me a pretty accurate reading because I've got two of them. One of them lives in the house, but if I bring it out here, both of those units give virtually identical readings on the humidity and the temperature. And it's like I've always said, for two things to be wrong and both be wrong by the same amount is virtually impossible. So I'm relatively along the lines of believing them. Whereas over here, this is the problem with these new gadgets. The lights don't show up. I have to, you know, see? I've got this this is the humidistat. That's set to 70. And yeah, it's cutting in and out. So that gadget says it's 71, and this one says it's 67. It's set to 70, so it's going to cut in again soon. It would do if I hadn't unplugged it. But it isn't 67. It's reading low by about 3 or 4%. And yet when it gets warmer in here, it seems to read high rather than low. So I don't know whether this has got an algorithm in it that adjusts for temperature as well. I'm not sure it has. It's just got a humidistat sensor, which currently is up in the roof, and I think that might be the problem. I think I might just need to move that and get that lower down somewhere, possibly. I mean, that's the easiest thing to change, is to move the sensor up in there. It's that grill thing up there. That'll do it. The fans, again, temperature reading on here says 19.7 currently. That gadget says 19.1. That's close enough for me. So this one's reading accurately, and I've currently got that set to 22. So when we get to 22, the two big fans will kick on. But what I do need to do in preparation for today is unwrap these two and get them fired up. The little thermostat that runs those is over there, and even though that's been switched off all winter, it's quite clever really, because when I switch it back on, all the settings will still be there. It remembers them, which I like. So we've got to dig our way down in there somehow without doing me back in, and just get that bubble wrap off. Get the bubble wrap off there and just turn that back on, and that'll get my inlet and my outlet fan, extractor fan, working, because yesterday we were up above 30 degrees in here, and although Hurricane Hector sort of balances that with good humidity, I'd rather the temperature didn't get that high. I'd rather we stayed down 26, 27 with good humidity. Then everybody in here will be happy-ish. There'll be some that still aren't too happy because it's too warm. They'll lump it, you know, they'll just manage. But only with the humidity up. You know, the cooler growers, the Mazda Valleys and things, they're not going to be happy with heat and dry air. They're just not going to put up with that. So, you know, whereas things like my Psychopsis are starting to think, this is more like it, hot and steamy, we like this. So as I say, swings and roundabouts when you've got a varied collection. Right, something else, that was something I was going to bring up yesterday, and this is for YouTubers, people who've got a channel. And I don't know how often you look at the statistics. I look at them once a day. In the morning when I do my comments and stuff, I have a look round and see what's generally going on with my channel. And my views are down. Well, you've got two things there. Initially, first of all, have I upset a load of people and they're not watching anymore? Well, that's possible. But then I thought, what are other channels up to? And although you can't get detailed analysis about somebody else's channels, you can get their home page up and load their videos and just look back and think, well, a couple of weeks ago, the average views on this channel was around this. And other channels are down as well. You get an odd one. You get an odd one that just seems to like get double the amount of views for some reason. But you can get a feel, an average for what channels' views are normally like. And quite a few other channels are down. And this seems odd, because I'd have expected all the views to be up, because everybody's stuck at home with nothing else to do. but it doesn't seem to be that way at the moment. Maybe it will change. We've just had a weekend, and bearing in mind a lot of people are stuck at home and are not working, a weekend and a weekday is not that much different anymore. Yeah. For, you know, for some people, obviously people who are working at home are actually supposed to be working, not loafing around. But you know what I mean. But we've just had good weather. Now that makes a lot of difference, because you don't have to be stuck at home. When there's good weather, you are allowed out, providing you keep away from other people and don't be stupid, which a lot of people are not sticking to. They're being very, very silly. And okay, you might be all young and bouncy and happy and let's go and play in the park and oh, there's my friend, and yeah, what about your mum? What about your grandmum and dad? You going to pop round and visit them after meeting up with all those people in the park? You want your bloody ears boxed, quite honestly. Just because you might not be at risk, you put others at risk. I don't know how long it's going to take for this to sink in. All I can think of is that there are some very dull people out there. I remember Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull wrote a song about it. The wise man will never know what it's like to be thick as a brick. And it seems to be that it's the dull that are just ignoring everything. I mean, I've got to ignore everything in a minute. I've got to go to the post office. It's a high risk, you know, but I need to do it. It's got to be done. But it's relatively safe in as much as I won't go near anybody till I get to the post office, and providing there's no queue, and if there's a queue, I will wait outside until I can walk in and straight up to the counter. And the person who will serve me is behind a glass screen. So I'm relatively safe. And I'm handling my own stuff, you know, when I go in there. So I don't need to touch anything. I mean, you know, I can swipe my card. I don't need to touch anything, and when I come out I can sort my hands out and come home. So it's a relatively safe exercise, providing I can just keep people away from me. Which can be done. If it has to be done rudely, then so be it. But yeah, I just wondered if anybody else is having view counts lower than normal, and I don't see any logical explanation for it. All I can put it down to is perhaps it's the weather. And the fact that we've had good weather for a blinking change. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I think it's due to set in for today. So I've got to get on and get my fans sorted out, get my mounts watered, and start packing some orchids in some boxes, which includes this one. I really hope this comes out the other end with some of these blooms still intact. I really do. Sort of ashamed to see it go now, but I made the decision based on, you know, based on logic and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I hope some of those blooms arrive intact, and and the new growth up the top doesn't get knocked off. It will be good. Yeah, and quite honestly, that where's the other one? Oh, it's hidden. I was going to say there's another one of those mounts up there that's going to go as well. In fact, there's 3 mounts to go in a single package from the Orchids To Go set that were all bid on, and that particular box has got some surprises in with it. Basically taking an opportunity to get some stuff out of my way and into somebody else's instead. Bit of a cheek, but I know one of them's wanted. And the other one's just a surprise. If you don't want it, chuck it away. That's the way I look at it. I don't want it. So anyway, I'm hoping to get some of the boxes done today and get round the post office. And those I don't get done today, I'm hoping to finish off tomorrow. I don't want to start taking things to the post office towards the end of the week, because they're guaranteed to sit somewhere over the weekend. By posting them early in the week, they may actually arrive within a week. We shall see. So, stuff to get on with. Isa's just put a video up saying he's even boardier. I would be boardier if I didn't have this much to do. And I've still got computer stuff to do, but at least I got that flipping magazine out from under my feet. That's now been distributed to all the members. Give them something to read while they're all stuck indoors. I'm glad to see the back of that this time round. I don't know why, this time round was just tedious. The next issue I've got to do will be really easy because it's got no show report in it. It's just articles, it's just words and pictures. You know, that's the easiest one of the lot to do, providing people send me some stuff to put in it. And I see no reason why I shouldn't get quite a little influx of things to go in the next version of the magazine, simply because people are stuck at home with nothing better to do. So, get on with it. Not that any of the Bournemouth Orchid Society members are listening to this. Well, I can think of perhaps 2, but not many. Anyway, I must crack on. I've got to get this Hurricane Hector and these fans balanced, because strictly speaking, at less than 22 degrees in here, it's highly unlikely that the humidity is going to drop low enough for the need for Hurricane Hector to come on. So something needs adjusting to get these two balanced, and we'll see how that goes. But it's just a matter of fiddling with some settings and moving some sensors around, one thing at a time. You know, if you're going to move a sensor, don't alter the settings as well. Do it one at a time, and if moving the sensor doesn't work, then try moving some settings around. But yeah, and I've just seen a new bloom. Actually, this is for Martin. I am going to get the plant out, so there'll be a little break. I'll turn the camera off because otherwise I've got to move some plants to get at it. But we've got a new bloom up in the corner there. I will dig it out. Right, I say this is for Martin because he's often asking about it. Now, this plant had a near-death experience and it's still not happy. And at the moment, I think it's still got an inherent problem that's manifesting itself as it puts energy into blooms. This started with 4 spikes and they've all aborted, and one of the spikes was on a bulb that actually started to rot. So this plant is not happy, and all the nice shiny green leaves are starting to turn yellow. I've just taken 2 off, so I'm not sure it's right. And I think if we look at the blooms, they're not right. But there again, I can't remember what the blooms on this actually look like first time round because it's been so long. Now, although this is Encyclia cordigera, it's actually a named variety, Siang Yu. So obviously there would be a difference from the basic species form to warrant giving it a sort of clonal name. But this lip, I'm not sure whether that's meant to be frilly. I can't remember. I'm going to have to go and see if I can find some pictures. But anyway, one spike has managed to open some blooms, only just. These weren't open yesterday, and there's still 1 bud to come. And even on this spike, 1 bud aborted. So we've got 3 left out of 4, and the other 3 spikes have been lost. So I'm not quite sure what's up with this plant. We will just have to wait and see, but I'm going to enjoy these blooms while I've got them. I haven't got a clue how long they're going to last. Lovely coloration and very nice shape. Lovely frilly petals. The sepals just tend to, they are in effect the bud. They're the bits that open up and let the lip and the petals out. But nice frilly shape to the petals, and good coloration on the lip. Nice sort of pinky magenta, I'd call that. It's not actually magenta, it's more pinky. But yeah, so that's for Martin. Oh, and while we're on the subject of Martin, just remember that Martin does actually have a YouTube channel now and has started doing some videos. I'll put a link in the description. You can go and take a look. I mean, everybody knows Martin from the Facebook group, but new to YouTube. So instead of just seeing the typed words, which are, being Dutch, obviously they have to be translated into English, we can now hear the spoken word on the videos. So go and take a look. And good to see. And I think Martin set his channel up to take part in the global virtual orchid show that William Green from My Green Pets has tried to get us all to take part in. Now you can take part in that with just pictures on Facebook using the hashtag, which is hashtag GVOS 2020. That hashtag needs to be in titles and in descriptions to get this to make the search engines work for all the different platforms where stuff's going to appear on. And it's the 4th of April. Yeah, so Martin set up his channel so that he can join in with that, and he's, you know, getting some stuff ready. But anyway, a couple of new blooms and a little push for a new channel. I mean, I seem to know Martin quite well. He comments on my videos frequently and is everywhere in the Facebook group, both postings and comments and things like that. So take a look at the channel. We'll see how we go from there. Right, this is opening up a bit better now. This was a gift, so this is a Nobly type hybrid that does have a name, which at the moment I can't think of, and knowing me it won't have a tag. No, of course not. Wouldn't expect it to have a tag, would you? But it's looking nice. It's a delicate Nobly, you know. I mean, this is a Nobly, totally different colours. This is a more shouting one, less subtle, shall we say, whereas this is a more delicate one. So anyway, I've got stuff to do, and I will see you next time. Thanks for dropping by, and again, apologies for those that all got geared up to joining in with the live broadcast that then failed miserably. But for once it was tech not working that's not in my control. There's nothing I can do about an overloaded global internet, because that's really what's happening at the moment. So it's going to affect the different platforms in different ways, with peaks at different times and troughs and things like that. And we'll see how we go. I mean, the way YouTube works, it must have banks of servers all over the world. It's not one central thing. And as such, the EU's probably separate from the US, and it has its own sort of, although integrated, running on a separate sort of basis. And as such, you know, a live broadcast at 2 o'clock in the morning would probably work fine, but then there wouldn't be many people watching it, would there? Well, not in the EU anyway. Anyway, I'm not going to attempt a live broadcast again. I'm going to wait until such times as I officially hear somehow that it's all better and the workload has dropped right off and it can cope again, because I can't control that. So, right, see you next time then. Thanks for dropping by. I thought I'd add this on the end, because a lot of new people won't have seen everything working. So that's the extractor sucking the hot air out, and down the bottom there is you can't see the fan itself because it's down a tunnel, but that's sucking cooler air in. So that cycles fresh air in from outside and helps keep it cooler in here. Yesterday we were up to 30, today we're hovering around 26. And once that reduces the temperature down, they shut down. They're working on that little thermostat over there. So that's how that little setup works. These two work on temperature, and I did actually say that wrong earlier in the video. I've reduced this down to 20. Which means what the fans are trying to do is cool this place down to 20 degrees. Yeah? So starting at higher temperatures, they will stay on until the temperature drops to 20, at which point they turn off. Hurricane Hector down here, I'm just getting my jeans wet again, that just works on a hydrostat. But it works in conjunction with the extractor, because the extractor sucks out my humidity, yeah, which kicks the hydrofogger on to replace it. So once those turn off, the humidity will rapidly climb back up to where I want it. But when they're on cooling it down a bit, I do lose humidity. Right, I did say I was doing Postman Pat today. I've had an industrial injury. I don't know whether that's picking that up on there, but I only realised it when my shirt was soaking wet. My arm felt wet, and I've taken a chunk out of my arm basically, and it was somewhere up there to such an extent that I didn't know it had happened. As I said, I just thought, where's my arm wet? And then I thought, oh, that's red stuff, that's leaky stuff that's supposed to be on the inside, not on the outside. So I had to stop and clean all that up and everything. And I just basically slowed down today, and it's got to the point in the day now, coming up to 2 o'clock, I've had enough. I know that's early in the day, but I did start early, so I can't be doing with boxing up orchids and going round to the post office now. I've still got to put all the mounts back where they live, and the priority for me in the boxing was to get the primulinum off, so that when it got to the other end, hopefully there would still be some life left in the blooms. Those blooms are short-lived at the best of times, and I've got a feeling if that goes in a box and takes its time to get there, like the last one I sent, they'll be gone. And so nobody gets to enjoy them then until next year. So I've decided to put the boxing off till next week. So what I may do, depending on how busy a Sunday I get, is actually get the stuff boxed up on Sunday and get it to Postman Pat first thing Monday, or at least get everything ready on Sunday so that all I've got to do on Monday is put the plants in the boxes, if you know what I mean, and then go round to Postman Pat. I can get all the letters finished, I can get the labelling done and put on the boxes ready. All I've got to do is put the plants in and seal them up. So that sounds like a better idea to me. So sorry Insa, but your box is now going to be next week, not this week. I don't think those blooms would make it. They are very delicate and they normally last about 12 days. They've already been open 4 or 5, so I don't think, you know, given the time it took last time I sent you a box. So we'll film them and enjoy them here. But what I would also like to say, earlier in the video I said, and we need to go very careful with that new growth. Well, having just taken it down to water it, that new growth has got 3 little friends. You've got 4 new growths at the base of that plant. So given that it's bloomed on a not very successful cane at the top, this one, and it also bloomed on the full length cane, yeah, this growing season there's 4 new growths to push on. If they all get to full length, you're going to have quite a show next spring. So that should be good, and yeah, that's now extended this video to quite a long one, but so be it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.